My name is Katherine Bennett. I'm 41 years old, and I'm about to tell you the story of how my family stole my business and gave it to my sister, and what happened when I finally found the proof. I was 25 years old when I started my own business. I had a dream. I wanted to create something of my own. I wanted to build something from nothing. I wanted to be my own boss. I had been working for other people for 7 years. I had been doing everything I was told. I had been following everyone else's rules. I had been building everyone else's dreams. I was tired. I was exhausted. I was done. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to build something from nothing. My friends said, Katherine, you're crazy. It's too risky. It's too hard. You'll never make it. My parents said, Katherine, you're wasting your time. You should get a real job. You should be practical. You should be sensible. My sister said, Katherine, you're going to fail. You're going to lose everything. You're going to end up with nothing. But I didn't listen. I believed in myself. I believed in my dream. I believed in my ability. I started my business. I worked 80 hours a week. I worked every day. I worked every night. I worked every weekend. I sacrificed everything. I had no life. I had no friends. I had no relationships. I had nothing but my business. But I didn't care. I was building something. I was creating something. I was achieving something. The first year was the hardest. I had no money. I had no clients. I had no employees. I had nothing. I worked from my apartment. I used my own computer. I used my own phone. I used my own everything. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I didn't rest. I just kept going. I was exhausted. I was stressed. I was struggling. But I didn't give up. I kept going. I kept working. I kept believing. Slowly, things started to change. I got my first client, then my second, then my third. I hired my first employee, then my second, then my third. My business started to grow. It started to be successful. It started to be profitable. I was so proud of myself. I had done it. I had built something from nothing. I had achieved my dream. By the time I was 28, my business was thriving. I had 30 employees. I had 150 clients. I had everything I had ever wanted. I was making money. I was making a difference. I was making a name for myself. My parents were proud of me. They said, Katherine, we're so proud of you. You've done so well. You've achieved so much. My sister was jealous. She said, Katherine, you got lucky. You just got lucky. You didn't work for it. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I just kept working. I bought a house. I bought a car. I bought everything I had ever wanted. When I was 30, my parents came to me. They sat me down. They looked serious. My mother said, Katherine, we need to talk to you about something important. My father said, Katherine, your sister needs help. She's been struggling. She can't find a job. She needs a career. She needs something to do with her life. I said, what do you want me to do? My mother said, we want you to give her a job. We want you to bring her into your business. We want you to help her. I was hesitant. I knew my sister. I knew she was lazy. I knew she was incompetent. I knew she would be a terrible employee. But they were my parents. She was my sister. I couldn't say no. I said, okay, I'll give her a job. My sister, Michelle, started working for me. She was 28 years old. She had never held a real job. She had never worked a day in her life. She was lazy. She was incompetent. She was terrible. She showed up late. She left early. She did nothing. She was rude to clients. She was rude to employees. She was rude to everyone. I tried to help her. I tried to train her. I tried to teach her. But she didn't want to learn. She didn't want to work. She just wanted to get paid. My parents called me. They said, Katherine, how is Michelle doing? Is she doing well? Is she learning? I said, Mom, she's not doing well. She's not learning. She's not working. She's terrible. My mother said, Katherine, you're being too hard on her. She's trying.
She's doing her best.
You need to be patient. I said, Mom, she's not trying.
She's not doing her best.
She's just taking advantage of me. I was 32 years old when I discovered what my sister was doing. She was stealing from me. She was stealing my clients. She was stealing my employees. She was stealing my ideas. She was stealing everything. She was planning to start her own business. She was planning to compete with me. She was planning to destroy me. I confronted her. I said, Michelle, I know what you're doing. I know you're stealing from me. I know you're planning to compete with me. She said, Katherine, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not doing anything. You're just paranoid. I said, Michelle, I have proof. I have evidence. I know everything. She said, Katherine, you can't do anything. You can't stop me. I'm going to take everything from you. My sister started her own business. She took my clients. She took my employees. She took my ideas. She took everything. My parents supported her. They said, Katherine, you're being selfish. Your sister needs this more than you. She needs to succeed. She needs to have something of her own. I said, Mom, she stole from me. She betrayed me. She took everything from me. My mother said, Katherine, you're being dramatic. It's just business. It's just competition. You need to get over it. I lost everything. I lost my business. I lost my money. I lost my life. I had nothing. I was 32 years old. I had nothing. I had lost everything. I had no business. I had no money. I had no future. I was depressed. I was alone. I was broken. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to move on. I didn't know how to start over. But I didn't give up. I kept going. I kept fighting. I kept believing. I started over. I started from nothing. I rebuilt my life. I rebuilt my business. I rebuilt everything. It took 6 years. It was hard. It was painful. It was exhausting. But I did it. I rebuilt everything. I was 38 years old when my lawyer called me. He had been my lawyer since I started my business. He was 70 years old. He was retired. He said, Katherine, I have something for you. Something I've been keeping for 10 years. It's a file. A file on your sister. A file on your parents. I met him. He handed me a file. It was thick. It was full of papers. It was full of everything. Katherine, he said, I've been keeping this for 10 years. I wanted someone to know the truth. I opened the file. I started reading. I couldn't stop. Michelle Bennett, age 28, started working for Katherine's business. Was lazy and incompetent from the start. Michelle Bennett, age 29, started stealing clients. Started stealing employees. Started stealing ideas. Michelle Bennett, age 30, planned to start her own business. Planned to compete with Katherine. Mr. and Mrs. Bennett, age 32, supported Michelle. Told Katherine to get over it. Told her she was being dramatic. Mr. and Mrs. Bennett, age 33, gave Michelle money to start her business. Gave her everything Katherine had built. Mr. and Mrs. Bennett, age 35, continued to support Michelle. Continued to ignore Katherine. Mr. and Mrs. Bennett, age 37, told Katherine she was a failure. Told her she would never succeed. I read the entire file. I cried. I couldn't stop crying. I realized everything. My family had betrayed me. They had taken everything from me. They had given everything to my sister. They had destroyed my life. I called my lawyer. I said, Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me what was happening? He said, I didn't know how. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't think you were ready. But I think now you are. I went to my sister's house. She was living in a big house. She had a new car. She had everything. I said, Michelle, I know everything. I know you stole from me. I know our parents helped you. I know everything. She said, Katherine, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't steal anything. I worked for everything. I said, Michelle, I have proof. I have evidence. I know everything. I went to my parents' house. I had the file in my hand. I had the proof. I had everything. My mother was in the kitchen. She was cooking dinner. She didn't look up when I walked in. She said, "Katherine, what are you doing here? You didn't call." I said, "Mom, we need to talk." I placed the file on the counter. I said, "Mom, do you know what this is?" She looked at it. She said, "What is this?" I said, "This is a file from my lawyer. It's a file on Michelle. It's a file on everything you did to me." I started reading from the file. I read about the planning. I read about the conspiracy. I read about the lies. I read about everything. My mother's face turned pale. She said, "Katherine, I don't know what you're talking about." I said, "Mom, I have proof. I have evidence. I have everything. You planned this.
You plotted this.
You took everything from me." My father came into the room. He said, "Katherine, what's going on?" I said, "Dad, you planned this. You plotted this. You took everything from me. You gave everything to Michelle. You destroyed my life. I never spoke to my family again. I never saw them again. I never wanted to. I moved on. I rebuilt my life. I found happiness. I found peace. My business grew again. It was more successful than ever. I had everything I ever wanted. If you've ever had your life's work stolen by someone you trusted, I want you to hear something. You didn't deserve what happened to you. You didn't deserve to be used. You didn't deserve to be manipulated. You didn't deserve to be taken advantage of. You deserve to have your own success. You deserve to have your own future. You deserve to have your own life. My name is Katherine Bennett. I'm 41 years old.
My family stole my business.
And I rebuilt everything. If this story made you feel something, drop a comment below. Tell me the word that describes what you feel. Share this video with someone who needs to hear they're not alone. Subscribe for more stories like this. Thank you for listening to mine.